Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
The hills are alive with the sounds of Formula 3 machines today as we will make their way around Spielberg here in Austria. Welcome everybody to the Sim Racing for Simpletons Grand Prix broadcasted by the JP Broadcasting Network here on YouTube. We're at the home of Mozart, Strauss, Beethoven, as well as Arnold Schwarzenegger and even Toto Wolff are some of the heroes that come out of Austria. Well, another hero that will be joining me tonight in the casting booth, not from Austria, but from the birthplace of motor racing in the United Kingdom. It's the one and only Zachary. Zach, welcome to the land of music and car engines. Not quite sure we got you on there, Zachy.
I'm here. No, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sorry.
Of course, there's a couple of technical difficulties. Basically, yeah. Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing how we get going for today. Obviously, the RedBull Ring, Formula 3 machinery, obviously alongside you, Dean Biggles. This is really, really exciting stuff. We've got a packed grid and a lot of racing action yet to come. And I, for one, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how today goes. It's a short circuit. It's a very, very straight circuit. A lot of undulation from top to bottom, all the way around the 10 corners here at the RedBull Ring. It's definitely going to be one to remember.
And qualifying is about to be underway. So welcome along everybody in the chat, no doubt. And of course, Mr. Phil is always here. He says evening and evening to you, my friend. Any of the highlighted drivers, because this is the first round, remember? Yeah, Zach. So we set a statement there for a new season. Any particular drivers to look out for?
Well, in all fairness, we're very much in an unknown ourselves in that retrospect, because this is their first season. They've not really had a lot of on-track running themselves, which is obviously, gives them sort of a bad picture as well in of itself. These guys probably haven't got a lot of experience racing against each other. We certainly haven't exactly got a lot of experience commentating on them. So obviously it's a little bit tricky in that regard. Obviously we've been recommended a couple of drivers, so we'll see as to who's where and who might actually be able to take towards the top spot. They've had a pre-season race, which obviously give them an alright picture, a first idea, if you will, but obviously getting actually into the session and into the championship itself is a very, very different thing. As it stands, it's Rivera that sort of is setting the benchmark. Michael Brooks is very close in behind as well. Again, I think talking about who's going to be quick at different points is very much an uncertainty until, at the very least, we get through today.
I want to get you a chance to go on a hot lap with one of those gladiators out there, and the Sound of Music. Of course, the Hills will always be singing Sound of Music. The reference for that, of course, goes back to that stage play. In fact, even the Formula 1 drivers do tweet about that when they do visit here in the Austrian hillsides. But yeah, once again, Zachary, anybody particularly you want to go on? But I'd love to see these hot lap guides that Mr. James does, and I want to have one hot lap guide from you with one of these gladiators.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Shane Larson's as good as anyone. We'll follow on with him for the duration of the 4-kilometer circuit here in the Styrian Mountains. Formula 3 machinery, of course, very, very fast, but also not too fast. Good mix between downforce and obviously raceability. And towards turn number 1, though, you're looking for about the 100-meter braking board. Down to third gear to Shane Larson. You've got to be careful as the track rises up. Bit of camber on the inside and a massive sausage curb ready to spit you out on the left as well. Very easy to extend the track limits. Now you've got the straight run uphill through turn number 2, very much as a corner in some cars. Braking zone uphill for turn number 3, using gravity to slow the car down. Looking for the 100 board. Be careful as the track once again rises up. A bit of a crest on the apex. Very easy to unsettle the rear end if you're not careful. Then you battle your way once again, dipping once more downhill in towards the braking zone of turn number 4, using all the curb possible. Once again, roughly looking for the 100-meter board. Second gear, run the curb as much as you possibly can. Tightest apex through the long sweeping turn number 5. It's just a case of maintaining a high minimum speed and also shortening the distance as much as possible. Then you get to the infields, and in these cars, they are a lot of fun. A flick to the left, and then you use the track as much as possible. Do you brake? Do you downshift? Do you trust the car and just flick it in for turn number 7? They are very much a lot of questions. Turn number 8 isn't really much of a corner, but very easy to dip a wheel over the curb, extend the limits, and take to the gravel if you're not careful. Final 2 corners, 2 of the most tricky ones on the circuit. Turn number 9, a quick flick to the right. We've seen plenty of people, even the best, make mistakes through there. And then turn number 10, the downhill dip through the final corner. And then, of course, the run to the line. What is Shane Larson going to do on his inaugural run of the season in qualifying across the line? And, well, I have to say that was either an invalidated lap, which I think it was indeed. So he's having to go again. And I think, in all fairness, that just speaks as to how easy it is to get some off tracks here.
Yeah, off tracks are the biggest thing, because there's only so many corners. Remember, there's only 2 left-handers, 2 right-handers. Everything else is a left turn. Am I right on that one? Sorry, it's all rights and 2 lefts. Yeah, I could have flipped.
So you've got right, left, exactly. Left, right. Yeah, there's only 2 left-handers. Yeah.
I'm upside down in Australia, my friend. So we kind of like it's the opposite side of the road we drive on. But then again, you guys drive on that side as well. Anyway, we know that Alexander and Michael are driving. Michael's on it says the wrong stuff for his racing team, but I think he's on the right stuff. We're still seeing some of the other drivers at the moment in their qualifying session. Hopefully, they get themselves out on track, put in some of those laps that they need to. We have about, give or take, 14, as Carl sets a time, for the team, the Dash team, the Canadian and 181 machine. Still looking to see whether or not Shane Larson for the wrong stuff can set a time. My friend, gotta be on the right stuff. Here we go.
on that run to the line. Has he managed to actually put a lap time in is the question. Foot to the floor and pretty much just hope. There he goes. He catapults himself all the way up to 5th place. It's all the 5s really for Larson. 5th place with obviously a 125, and then that puts him 555 thousandths of a second off obviously Alexander Rivera for pole position. So Larson definitely is probably one of his favourite numbers, clearly, is number 5. And well, whether you're superstitious or not is a different question. But he's managed to get himself up inside the top 5, which is definitely a good staple at this point in the qualifying session. Approaching about halfway through, they get 10 minutes to qualify, in which time they can do as many laps as they possibly can and set the benchmark for what is going to be an enthralling 33-lap race here today around the Styrian Mountains. Following on once again with Carl Matheson and talking a little bit sort of about qualifying and that transition into the race. They've only got 10 minutes in qualifying, but a circuit like the Red Bull Ring, Dean, it's a circuit that you can really overtake at. It's very raceable. So how important is qualifying going to be today?
It's very important. DRS's activations are mighty powerful around here. You have 3 of them, believe it or not. But yes, activation up here into turn 1. And then you have a little bit of a switcheroo. They call another turn in a bit. That's turn 2 coming up. So he's got right up in DRS activation right now. And there's a kink in the road. It used to be, I believe, because of the motor, GP, more than the fixed wheel. And that's a turn, apparently. And then this is the overtake. This is the hot zone, my friend. This is where you actually want to be. Qualifying's over, unfortunately, so couldn't quite show you that one. But what we can do is pull up the grid results for you to go over there, please.
Indeed. So Alexander Rivera takes the first pole position for the Sim Racing for Simpletons. Round number 1. Michael Brooks will keep him for company on the first row. Mackenzie Roon and Carson Keane, row 2, with Shane Larson rounding off your top 5s. All the 5s for the American. Daniel Weifeld will keep him company on row 3. Nicholas Curto and Kiko in P8. Lucas Finco and Angelico round off your top 10. And beyond that, you've got Jakob Zahora and Ian Rude, your 6th row. Beyond that, for 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th, etc., you've got the likes of Seth MacFarlane, Joel Dutton, Carl Matheson, and Brian Long, your lone car there for 16th place. Rounding off 8 rows here for the grid today. You can see just running your way all the way through, getting the names on the screen. And it is looking quite close in terms of qualifying. A short pace lap for a rolling start here, Dean. And, well, again, we don't really know much about the championship in of itself as of yet. But before we get going, who's winning today? Let's put it that way.
You gotta put it in here. Alexander looks quick, doesn't he? Michael Brooks for the wrong stuff looks quick. So, yeah, once again, but it's easy to do the off-track excursions. And what about how many of those off-track excursions would be allowed, of course, before you get a slowdown?
Yeah, it's easily done.
All the
Very
other
easily done.
That occurs.
They only get 14 incident points as well before they get a drive-through. Then they get, I think it's up to 19, then another one. And then obviously beyond that, it's another one. I think it's 20 for disqualification, 19 for 2 drive-throughs, 14 for 1. So they do have to be careful because off-tracks can very quickly add up around the Red Bull Ring. They
do. I'm used to more of the Formula 1 game itself, and that's right, game, not a simulation. But those penalties come thick and fast at the moment. So those lights are going to be coming on. There's a safety car out there, the pace car. So just to clarify out there for everybody there, Zachary, they'll be following that one around. It won't be a standing still start. Fortunately, I like the standing still starts, but we won't have one.
Well, either way, rolling starts are interesting. Not something that you really associate with Formula 3 machinery, but either way, they're taken to the grid now, or well, they're already in the grid, and they're rolling to the start line. Obviously behind the iRacing pace car, which will peel off into the pit lane to signal us underway for round number 1 of the Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship here in the Styrian Mountains. It's Alexander Rivera, Michael Brooks, your front row, Mackenzie Roon and Carson Keane just in behind that. 33 laps of racing are upon us. It's a step into the unknown, a new era, a new championship has been born. Rivera controls the pace on the very foggy run to the line. When's he going to put his foot to the floor and send us underway? The lights will come on, the green flag will be waved, and the Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship is a go. Very chaotic in that fight, really, for 4th place and 5th place just in behind, but Rivera gets a clean start. The fight for 2nd, however, goes 3 wide into the first corner. Brooks goes the long way round. Roon takes to the inside. Bit of contact as they work their way through. Shane Larson is quite keen to find his way past Keane in that fight for 4th as well. The battle uphill towards turn number 3, though, is where it's at. The slipstream. Could there be a change for the leaders? Brooks is very tightly in contention. Is Rivera going to be able to stem the attack? Indeed so. The 222 of Rivera able to hang on from pole position. position, and so far so good in terms of a clean start.
Oh, so far, yeah, fantastic there. Great excitement, as you'd expect here. The nerves, they've been there off the season, of course. There's no time for holidays anymore. The Gladiators have had that little bit of a rest and a little bit of a moment, and now it's heating up, and it's definitely heating up even in the fog here. Altitude of the Austrian. Look at this as well, Tim. A battle for P5 growing up as well. The Belgium driving not too far down the road here from Austria, my friend. Battling it out with Larson from the United States of America. There's Daniel in the mix, actually. There is Daniel on top of that one.
I think everyone's really just trying to find their feet and settle into this race, of course. There's Carson Keane, the Canadian for Valley Motorsports. He's knocking on the door, potentially for a podium. Already in the opening lap alone, Alexander Rivera and Michael Brooks have been able to open up, just over a second, flirting on the edge of it as Rune tips his way back underneath that. But the opening melee of Rune, Keane and Larson going 3 wide into the first corner definitely allowed the top 2 to break away just a little bit, riding on board with Shane Larson, who was all the 5s in qualifying. He's trying to break that cycle and get his way up into 4th, inside line for turn number 1. The uphill climb under brakes, and the American has done exactly that. No up and under from Keane. However, the slipstream might go the way. Take a shot every time we make a Keane pun because, well, there's going to be plenty of them over the course of the 8-round championship. Closing. Looking very daunting is the Canadian. He pulls himself to the left-hand side of the circuit, pulls ahead before the braking zone. Also side by side between the Belgian and the Englishman of Wyfield and Curto, and that fight towards turn number 3 as well.
Keeping it spicy, keeping you on your toes. So far, so good. It's 33 laps at the moment, so we've got 32 to go. And look at this, at least 32, 31, and the battles are brewing. This is a great thing about Austria. You get those overtaking opportunities, and we still haven't really got the DRS activation in play. But then again, I might be a little bit wrong on that one. This is the F3.
Formula 3 cars have
DRS? No, I don't think so. Not with a rear wing like that. I shot myself definitely in the foot in that one, my friend. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they've got the slipstream, which is close enough. It is a system to reduce drag, I suppose, in some cases. Just not a mechanical one, more a physical one in the sense that if you stay close to the car in front, then you'll have less wind resistance, less drag, and you'll go faster because per unit of engine capacity, you don't have as much drag to fight against. Therefore, you'll go faster, funnily enough. As everyone in racing and sim racing knows, if you stay close to the car behind and you stay behind them, you'll have that extra little bit of speed. No CARS, kinetic energy recovery system, no hybrid deployment, no nothing. Naturally aspirated engines of these Formula 3 cars. Actually, no, they might have a turbo. They just are bog standard combustion engines. They've got no hybrids extras onto them. Rivera, however, a bit of a mistake potentially from Mackenzie Rune. Actually seen him ahead of Brooks now into 2nd place, which has allowed Rivera to break away just a bit. There's the fight for the lead. Well, at the moment, because of Rune's overtake, it's not really actually been much of a lead fight. Rivera has capitalized on that, and while he's checked out and he's trying to stretch the advantage while he can.
See if we get a replay of this one currently at the moment. You're talking about Mackenzie Rune. That's a complete lift-off. Look at that. That's the reason why. So that's Michael, isn't it? So Michael, I don't know why he had to do that lift-off. No, you'd imagine he'd get those penalties early? That early?
I mean, maybe he just didn't really want to put up much of a fight, potentially. I don't know. I'm just trying to think as to where he would have got a slowdown, but that's pretty much everyone on the circuit. Turn number 9 maybe ran a little bit too wide and was forced to concede. Maybe the exit of turn 10, potentially having to lift off and relinquish that position. But then again, there's cleverer ways to get the slowdown done. You don't necessarily have to serve it straight away. And in iRacing, you get sort of 30, 40 seconds to serve your penalty. In my opinion, that's plenty of time to get up the hill into turn 3 and just take a nice hefty lift off to reduce your advantage. That's definitely where I would have done it personally, but whether that was the case, whether maybe he just didn't want to put up much of a fight, who knows? But at the moment, they're 3 astern, Rune, Brooks and Keane trying to fight their way towards the fight for the 222, Alexander Rivera. But that's not the hot topic at the moment. What is the hot topic is Curto versus Wyfield in that fight for 6th. Defensive already goes the Belgian, bringing it back over to the left-hand side slightly, which is going to invite the 64 machine to take to the inside. Better braking zone, of course. Who's bravest on the pair of them? It is the way of the Englishman, who finds his way up and now into 6th place. A spin, though. That is of Larson. That is a huge spin from Shane Larson. He finds himself all the way to the back of the field.
I've seen that before at the top of the mountain, or the top of the hill, really, here. So easy, isn't it, to get on that gas pedal and the car just says, not on my watch. And that has happened. Well, probably will happen to some of the other drivers on the track at the moment, but there it is. Get on the power, get back into it. You got plenty of laps to get it done. and plenty of overtaking opportunities. Here we go. Jacob at the moment here from the United States, 21 machines in the mix here, battling out a little bit further back down the field, but you can see this DRS activate. Well, once again, I'll get out of the DRS activation. Really, Zach, I'm so used to Formula One. My apologies.
It's disgraceful. You need to be getting better at it. It's unacceptable. However, a move like this from the Pepsi liveried American, sailing his way around the outside of turn number 9, is definitely bold. It's brave. It's brilliant. A little bit too wide, and while Finko is able to hang on in the balance, but also they've got to be careful of Kiko and Angelico as well, just in the background, fighting their way through back into contention. This circuit very momentum based. It's all about the exits. It's all about the straight line speed. You tamper with that, and you are in trouble. Oh my goodness me, Kiko. I don't really know how to explain that. A little bit too late on the brakes, maybe a little bit too hard on the brakes. No ABS or traction control assistance in these, so very easy to lock the rear. And well, once that's happened, you're pretty much a passenger is side by side up the hill.
I've not seen that very often. We'll see if we get a replay, because we're going to be careful with this turn 3 at the top of the hill here, as we're watching Mr. Rude there and Joel for the wrong stuff and the wrong stuff blue, and the wrong stuff, just the wrong stuff going for it. So the Flying Dutchman versus the Flying Canadian.
Oh, that's Luxembourg, isn't it? The lighter blue. I think that's Luxembourg.
Joel, it's Joel here. It just says the wrong stuff blue, and then behind there is Sean McFarlane. So they're all
so
at
it's
it.
the wrong blue. It's the wrong stuff of blue. Exactly that.
Oh, you got it now. Okay, great. Actually, an overtake as well too, I believe, up the road as well too from Michael. So Michael has made his way up past Mackenzie, and that's a battle for P2. Just currently at the moment looking to see what's going to happen, guys. So on my race notes at the moment, it says you've got to be getting scheduled for an overtake here. If you don't, I'm going to switch that camera around and not to get that livery, beautiful livery that they've exposed, that we'll be having to have a check out there. But there is Mackenzie just there. I'll give you a replay of what happened there. So there's Michael. This is a battle for essentially, remember, P2. So what about this one, Zach? What did he get the job done? I have to say,
easily.
Yeah.
I mean, turn number 9, not really a place that you particularly want to go side by side for too long. He did run a little bit wide, and again here, I don't know the exact iRacing specification for as to where the track limit is. It does chop and change at various different points. There's also side by side as Rune and Brooks fight for second place down the hill in towards turn number 4, continuing to swap places, of course, while we ride on board with Wyfield, running on the rear view of Keen as Rune gets completely mugged by both the American and the Canadian, dropping back to the rear end of this 3-car train now for second as Alexander Rivera is running away. 3.3 seconds around a circuit like this. That's almost a done deal. If this wasn't a 33-lap race and there was plenty of opportunity to make mistakes, 3 seconds around the RedBull ring is a deadly margin to have.
And yeah, at this level of open wheel, for sure. The fog is very interesting. Second time I've had a fog race in the last 24 hours. I'm not quite sure if they've added that recently into iRacing, Zach, but it's interesting to see. We're early in the morning. I showed those conditions before there for the temperature. I'll bring it back up again. But we'll keep an eye right now on Mackenzie. The 99 machine dropped 1 place at the moment, but sitting in P4. He's knowing he's got Mr. Carson Keane up the road there from the Valley Motorsports. There's a noisy car in the background. Scoots past my microphone. Apologies about that one. Here we go. Run up into turn 3. The all-important overtaking opportunity.
Got to get the best apex possible. That's exactly what Mackenzie Rune has just done. You saw how much track he used going in, so much so he could get the best line out, the straightest exit as possible, put his foot to the floor. Unfortunately, it's to no avail. All the slipstream effect has really cancelled itself out because Keen has got the slipstream on Brooks, which means that Rune's slipstream on Keen is negated a little bit. It sort of cancels each other out, which is obviously not to the delight of the American. However, a pretty good run through turn number 4 sees Brooks get away just a little bit and allows Rune to close the gap slowly but surely. And this fight for second is going on. There is huge calamity here down at turn number 4. Shane Larson's off. Dutton was also off. Potentially Finko now running his way through. I think maybe Kurto was involved in this as well. Let's hope we can get a replay queued up for that because, well, we saw that happening on the timing tower with this little bit of a fight. There's the 27 machine. That's Joel Dutton on the inside fighting with the red and black car. Sends the move in way too late on the brakes. Is that from Shane Larson just in behind? Yeah. Tap round. In single seaters like these, contact like that you cannot afford to have.
Just like that. Just like that. A little bit risk it for the biscuit kind of scenario. And that's what you call a motor racing, Mikey. Where's
Yeah.
Mikey? Mikey's still back in Albert Park in Australia, of course. He's doing the V8 supercars these days. Everybody's picking on him. Pit stops for Seth. Pit stop for Joel. Pit stop for Lucas as well. Mandatory pit stops in this race there, Zachary. You confirm for everybody?
Yeah, so in terms of the 33 lap race, they have to come in for fuel, but they don't necessarily have to change their tyres. And we're being told actually that the general consensus is you don't necessarily need to change tyres. The Red Bull Ring isn't a heavily demanding circuit on all four, so you don't really need to take the 4 to 5 second brunt of actually lifting up onto the jacks, changing your tyres and going back down. So fuel is enough. You can't make the full distance on one tank of fuel, so you do need to top it up just a little bit, and you don't need a whole amount to actually justify changing tyres whilst you fuel up the car, which you can now do in iRacing because of IMSA rules, I think, allowing you to change and fuel up simultaneously. But yeah, the fueling is just in, splash, out, sorted. You're great. So the pit strategy isn't necessarily a huge thing here today. Maybe we could see some drivers taking the brunt and taking some tyres to better their chances, but who knows? Cold tyres, we're being told as well, is not something you particularly want to drive on around the Red Bull Ring because, again, it's not too hard on your tyres. It is hard to get them up to temperature, and so obviously the strategy is going to be probably halfway pit, fuel up a little bit and go, or run the tank completely empty, be on as light a tank as possible for the majority of the race, come in, have a really light tank at the end, and then go. So throughout the entirety of the race, a high percentage of it is spent at the lightest weight possible. And obviously a lighter chassis means less mass, which means less inertia, which means the car wants to change direction a little bit more freely. It wants to respond, and it wants to be that agile Formula car that we very much know and love. Following on with Mackenzie Roon then, and still this fight between Brooks and Keane, they're sort of locked together, this triplet for second place. Slowly, creeping in on Rivera. The last lap did go the way of Brooks by a couple of tenths, a 25.0 relative to a 24.8 between the pair of them. So the gap is closing, but is it going to be a consistent enough catch for him to be able to be in race leading contention? That I don't know. And
I love your analysis there. So Zachary's definitely paid attention at science at school, hasn't he? And a little bit more than SpaceX, obviously, the super heavy rocket. We won't go there. I already mentioned that too much. It's over and done with. We move on. Next rocket launched. Next race, of course. These are F3s. They're almost like rockets. Just a little bit more downforce. Yeah, they do have a little rocket on the side, don't they? I think that's air intake, obviously, to try and cool the engine down and get more air into the combustion chamber. But speaking of the consistent catch that I was mentioning between Rivera and Brooks, Rivera basically said sod that and put in the fast lap of the race with a 1:24.59, to which Brooks said, you know what, I'm going to limit the gap, and only went a tenth slower. So it is a bit of a stalemate at the moment, which is both a good thing and both a bad thing, because we know that Rivera and Brooks are evenly matched on pace, which is great for a competitive nature, but it does mean that because Rivera has the gap, it's going to make it quite hard for there to be a lead fight, bar any major mistakes from Rivera that sees him lose 3 seconds worth of time. But never say never. It's motor racing, and well, anything can happen. Houston, we don't have a problem necessarily with Rivera, as you mentioned. So the 2 second is an eternity when you're talking about open wheel racing, for sure. This battle's still brewing between P3 and P4. His drivers still yet to make their pit stop. So only all the way back down to Seth in P11. McFarlane, he's the one that's taken that first pit stop, as well as some of the other drivers a little bit further down the road for him. 2 retirements, unfortunately, from this. We don't like to see that at the start of a racing season. But then again, it's 0 points, isn't it? The scoreboard is just nullified. So not going to really lose too much. You're also not going to gain too much. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're at the first round of the season. Let's look at the closing speed from Roon. It almost looks like he does have some DRS assistance, but in towards turn number 1 decides against it, because it's all about this run now. He knows how strong that 99 machine is in a straight line. The battle uphill, if he can close the gap, it gets exponentially more advantageous the closer you get. It's a very, very steep curve. He's closing. Is he close enough? The answer to that is unfortunately not quite. In towards turn number 3, the uphill climb, and well, Roon is trying his best to put a little bit of pressure on. Angelico, Curto and Dutton all into the pit lane. Same too with McFarland as well. Quite early on, it must be said. However, all of these guys were involved in some early lap carnage, so potentially this could be the reason. Maybe they're coming in to repair some damage. Of course, they do get 1 free fast repair, which is in formats like this quite a saving grace for some. It's a cheat code. It's fine. You do need it.
They basically hire Red Bull mechanics for the day. Is what they do.
All right. There's the first puns of the day. They're coming from you, Zachary. Good to be casting in the casting booth, of course, with the demigod himself on the microphone. James and I are well aware that you'll be definitely replacing us in the future when we you push us around, basically, the retirement home, whilst you're casting us. And Brooks is in. So the wrong stuff, maybe having the right switcheroo opportunity here. There's Michael there. Cool. I tried that pun, didn't quite work, but anyway. See how that's going to pan out.
We'll refine it over the course of the season. Obviously, as we say, we got 8 rounds to do it, so we got plenty of time to refine it. Maybe with Rude, if he makes a particularly aggressive move. Obviously, Keen. I don't know. There's a lot that you can make if you can sort of finagle it around just a little bit. But for sure, the strategical development is already starting. I will say that is a very early stop from Brooks. I mean, maybe he just wants to get it done and out of the way, but I'll be honest, I don't completely understand that. Obviously, they don't necessarily have a pit window. They can come in at any time to take said mandatory pit stop. But as I said, you want to be on the lightest possible car for as long as possible. And Michael Brooks won't necessarily have that. He's been on a full fuel tank for the last 12 laps. He's come in, he's topped it back up, presumably back to full, to then run to the end. So over the course of the whole race, he's almost running at quite a high tank relative to everyone else, which, as I said, is not particularly advantageous towards him, but he obviously knows a lot better than I do because I've never driven this car, I've never raced this car ever before, so again, what do I know? But besides the point, we're focusing back on the action with Keen and Rune, continuing to keep each other company. And at the moment, it just seems that everyone's sort of stagnating a little bit. Obviously, Keen and Rune are the closest battle on track at the moment. And is Rune saving a bit of fuel here? Is he using the slipstream to maybe shorten his pit stop a little bit later on?
That would be the question, isn't it? Going through his 99 machine. It would be interesting to see. So he's not gained or lost anything at the moment. Pit stops still. Braking at the 50. There it is. Slap that stop pedal. And hopefully the car stops, and it does, because we see all the many incidents that occur at the top of the hill in turn 3. Gets it done, gets it to power there, and still within the slipstream a little bit, but there it is. And I believe Kyle might have had a little bit of a moment that he doesn't want us to visit, but unfortunately, my friend Kyle, we're going to have to do it.
There's no escape when Dean Hopton is on the cameras. He looks at it, he finds it. Wow, that is a peculiar incident. Obviously, these Formula cars very, very sensitive. My guess is he just clipped the wheel onto the curb, lift the car up, unstable it just a little bit, and around it went. But yeah, all by himself, and a costly mistake at that. Back to the fight for second, and well, it sort of diffused just a little bit. So I think, in all honesty, this is probably going to be a race decided in the pit lane. There is Michael Brooks, and if he wants any chance of closing the gap to Rivera, just looking at the lap times, actually, Michael Brooks, the last lap time, which was his out lap, was a 37.4. So this is going to be the telling lap relative to Alexander Rivera. So a 24.91 on the previous best. 4/10 off his best. He's closing on a bit of traffic, is Brooks, though. He'll run across the line, and we'll see, is he gaining relative to Rivera? Is this undercut going to work across the line? And it is exactly a 24.8. So it's a 1/10 gain relative to Rivera, which is not quite 3 seconds that he needs to win.
Now, to get it done, you'll be on the right stuff, my friend, if you get the right strategy. Up the road there, lap car, just getting off the racing line, completely not wanting to be a part of that party. And this is it, overtime. I see a little bit of snap there on the steering wheel. Wasn't quite sure exactly where the drive up the road was going to do it. This was Jacob. That's 6 positions gain, 21 machine. He can see the rear gearbox of at the moment. And Michael's going to concentrate on what he needs to do to get the job done.
Exactly. And again, it's that mentality of, not letting yourself get overly frustrated with the situation at hand. At the moment, Kiko back into the pit lane as well, presumably for a retirement is what I'm going to guess. Again, I don't really necessarily know. But again, Michael Brooks, his task is to put lap times in and close the gap relative to Rivera. A bit of a slide from Zahora. Could see Brooks maybe claw some time in. But if he does want a chance of victory, he needs to dispatch of this traffic as soon as possible to get some clear running in of himself. Oh, into the pit lane. That's dangerous. Zahora, I've got to be honest, I really didn't agree with that. That's too fast of a corner to be taking the race line into the pit lane. Jakob Sahora into pit lane, obviously, for his mandatory stop. Around about halfway through, lap 15 of 33, but you can't be doing that. You can't be cutting your way across a live racetrack like that, Dean.
No. Man, you should have taken a Coca-Cola instead of a Pepsi. Either way, yeah. It happened so quickly. Not quite sure. That's the replay you're just watching of Jacob entering into the old pit road. 60 kilometers an hour as well, too, in this pit lane entrance. So it's a little bit shorter, but it's also high speed out of the come out of the corner and is in and out again. Yeah, that caught me off guard on that one, Zach. So I'm glad to have you catching all the action up in the casting booth there in the trailer. Right next to the track deck. Well, there's fog as well, too. Again, it's very, very unusual. Can't quite see the liveries as great as you'd like to see them, but definitely got the racing action that you can see. It's Kyle in the background there as well, too, so just trying to capture the action here. That's just that's Nicholas, I believe, that he's looking to have a bit of a rumble in the jungle with.
And very close between the pair of them. Obviously, Zahora fresh out of the pit lane. Into the pit lane comes Daniel Weifeld from what was 4th place and will soon be 5th as Michael Brooks gets his way back past. He's now leaving the pit lane, so Weifeld has already served his pit stop. He's come in, he's done his stuff, and he's now leaving the pit lane once again. Quite a slow stop, in all fairness, but rejoining the live racetrack and will be doing his best in order to retain 5th place. Michael Brooks, again, is looking very quick. Who is looking quick as well is Carson Keane. He's closed the gap to Rivera by about 7/10 of a second, and that's partly in due to the fact that was all on the last lap. 25.25 for Rivera, 24.57, and the fastest lap of the race for the Canadian. Carson Keane, well, he's keen for victory.
Oh, there it is. The punts are coming thick and fast here on the JP Broadcasting Network, courtesy of Mr. Zachary. So it also looked like Jacob had gone and back into pit road again. You could see that on your timing screens. The number 9 position currently at the moment for the 21 machine. In and out again there, Zachary. So you think it was a drive-through or something?
Potentially, as we say, in terms of penalty allocations and things, for those new to iRacing, of course, the way it works is if you extend off track too much, say, you run wide here or whatever over the white line, iRacing awards you a 1x, 1 incident point. Basically a slap on the wrist to say, that you're not allowed to do that, basically. If it's too severe, they'll give you a slowdown as well as a 1x. And, well, moving on to my next point for Angelico, a loss of control, i.e. a spin, basically exclusively a spin or a crash, you will get 2 X's against your name. And then beyond that, if you make contact with another car that iRacing deems to be severe enough, you will be awarded a 4X. So 4 of the incident points going your way. The way the Sim Racing for Simpsons works is that 14 incident points, so 14 off tracks or 3 crashes and a loss of spin or whatever, however you want to add it up, will see you get a drive-through. A further 5 beyond that will see you get a second one, and then you're on your last chance. If you get a single 1x again, you will be disqualified from the race. You'll be black flagged. And a circuit like the RedBull Ring, it's quite a classic circuit. There's not an extensive amount of runoff. However, there are still small little caveats in the way that you can extend the track. Even here, using too much of the track going in, you can pick up a 1x quite easily. Through turn 9 and turn 10, quite easy to pick up a 1x. Through 6 and 7, easy to pick up a 1x. It's marginal stuff, but over the course of the race, they are going to start to add up. We've seen crashes already throughout this race with Dutton and Finko and also Curso, I think, as well involved. And when that happens, that's a 4x straight away. Boom, slap. Any contact beyond that as well is going to add up. So 14, in retrospect, over the course of a 33-lap race, isn't a lot. So, it is probably going to be quite easy to pick up those drive-throughs as we span across the 8-round season we've got for the first ever season of the SR4S Formula 3 Championship. But back to the racing action, and once again, Carson Keane has both been consistent and very, very quick. However, Alexander Rivera does seem to have a bit of an answer for it right now, but from what seemed to be quite a runaway from Rivera, could now seem to spark itself back into the pressure is on for the American.
The heat is on. Absolutely. Trying to get it done. So that's it. You keep out of there. So it's basically old Canada versus the old United States of America. And a little bit further down the back there, yeah, 99, the 83 machine there of Mr. Mackenzie Roon there and Michael Brooks for the wrong stuff. Battling it out. Brooks, of course, losing 2 positions in the 83 machine. And then you have your Brit, my friend, your fellow countryman there, or Daniel Whitfield. The only British driver, not the only British driver, actually, a couple other British drivers on the grid there, just looking at flags. But yes, because we have the Dutch Army there, Joel, but Joel unfortunately is down in P12. No Australians on here. Belgium driver of Nicholas. As you can see right there, all the country flags.
Nice to see where everyone's from. Sim racing, a very international industry, so obviously great to see plenty of participation from all across the world. Quite a heavy North American contingent today, obviously, with a lot of Americans, Canadians, and the like. But we have got a couple of Europeans, 3 to be exact. Yeah, 3. You've got Dutton from, I think it's Luxembourg. I think the Netherlands has a darker blue, and then of course you've got Kiko with the Union J, obviously, and then you've got Wheefield, who wants everyone to know that he's English and not Scottish, Welsh, or Northern Irish. So he's decided to be special with the St George's Cross in terms of the English flag. But he's up there, my fellow countryman, obviously. And now we've got Joel Dutton on the back.
It's got to be Dutch.
That's not. I think that's Luxembourg. They are very similar flags.
They
are
very
helmet, similar flags.
So we
maybe he's Brazilian.
Yeah, maybe in that country. Exactly. We'll have to find out about that, Joel. So let us know, please.
I think it's Luxembourg. If I'm wrong, fair play. But I'm fair. This has come from a Max Verstappen fan, by the way. Okay.
How many countries have you travelled to?
2. I've been to the UK and then to the USA for Disneyland.
Oh.
I've been. Yeah.
Which one? Which one? The LA or the Florida?
Florida.
Okay.
That one. You know when I say I went to Florida for Disneyland, and then you ask, which one did you go to, LA or Florida?
I didn't hear you say Florida. My apologies. I thought you just said the Disney.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, no.
But which park, my friend? There's a few of them.
All of them.
Oh,
all of them.
Wow.
We were there for 2 weeks, so we did Animal Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood, Magic Kingdom, obviously. What other parks?
Is this before or after they've added some of the recent?
Well, I went in end of 2014.
Oh, so
I went end of 2014. But we did get Star Wars stuff. One of the best rides there was one of the Star Wars rides. It was one of the simulation rides, and it was amazing. There's like 43 different rides that you can actually have. Anyway, Ian Rood is back into the pit lane for his mandatory stop. He's up 5 places at the moment, whether that's part and part due to other pit stops or other incidents. Regardless, he's still running quite hard and running quite well. But yeah, Disney, if you haven't been, it's great. Also Universal as well, so all the Spider-Man
I went
and Marvel
to
and
both.
superhero stuff.
I went to both.
It's great.
I enjoyed it. Did you get Harry Potter and Universal, right? That's
oh yeah, Harry Potter, absolutely.
Did you have the butter ball and you can't remember the butter beer, whatever it's called?
Butter beer, yeah.
Butter beer.
I loved it. Yeah. So much so that for Mother's Day I bought my mum a bottle of it because she loves Harry Potter. She loves it. Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, I'm 17 now. I was about nearly 9, a few months off turning 9 when I went. So 2014, 2015. So a long time ago.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
favorite ride?
I could go again, I would. Oh, Jesus Christ. Casting my mind all the way back.
Oh, Jesus, like you've been around the block a few times, my friend.
No, listen, right. For me, it's a long time ago. I've actually got a really good. Again, burn smoke up my backside. I've actually got quite a good memory. So I'm trying to cast my mind back. In terms of individual rides, there was one that I did quite a few times. I think it might be the Transformers one in Universal that I loved. Again, another simulation one. So you're not actually going around, but you are on a roller coaster, but it's very like you're almost stationary, and it's just the cart that moves around you, and it gives you the effect that you're on a roller coaster, which is great. I loved it. But back then, I really wasn't big for rides. I'm only now coming out of my shell with it a little bit. Is the Belgian Nicholas Cut, who was into the pit lane as well. So lap 21 seems to be quite a crucial time for quite a few people. We are still waiting for the entirety of our top 3 to come into the pit lane yet. But speaking of the top 3, while we've been rambling about holidays and things, Carson Keane, less than a second now to the back of Rivera.
Get the job done. Slowly, but surely getting it done. Just while we're talking about it, maybe he gets a little bit excited about some of those Disney rides, my friend, here in Spielberg, as Mackenzie Rudin will go in visit the pit road. Wait, Jeffrey, whoever you want to visit. Barney's waving the flag, so you won't be visiting Barney just yet. A few more laps to visit Barney.
It's gone quite quick, though. I'll give it that. We're already on lap 22 or 33, so a very short and sharp. are these races, which is, both a good thing and a bad thing in some cases, because if the racing's really good, then obviously you don't really want it to end, but also the short format promotes really good racing because you've got to get it done as quickly as possible. Runa's into the pit lane as Rivera and Carson Keane, the battle of the top two. Rivera from pole, Keane from 4th place. The back end of the second row finds himself now in a very good position, a striking position as well. Half a tenth between the pair of them, and when you get like this, you're locked in the slipstream, and, well, unless there's a mistake, Rivera's going to have a hard time getting rid of him.
And because of that fog, it's making it very difficult to see this from the blimp cam, so we need to talk to them. Maybe we need to get some little bit of heat or infrared or something like that happening here, different spectrums of light. But the one light you need to see at the moment, and that's the light from this driver. And this driver, of course, is Mr. Carson King, because we know, mate, I've been saving this pile up there at the moment, but I'll tell you what, the Valley Motorsports driver in the number 5 machine is keen to take the race lead from the 222 machine. So, can he get it done? Well, Zachary's going to tell you.
Yeah, we'll find out. I've already made the Keane pun, so there's one of us. We've both ticked it off, which is great. Not going to be the last time we do it. Probably this race, and definitely not over the course of the season. Plenty of puns, as we've said, because, yeah, we're like that. Very professional, very mature people. I at least have an excuse for it, because I'm still not an adult yet, so Dean, sort it out. But anyway, very, very close is Rivera and Keane. And look at that, squirming under the brakes is Carson, really trying to get the most out of the car. And you can tell, this is a golden opportunity. He's been fighting all race for being this close. Now he's seeing the rewards of his efforts. And now he's in a perfect opportunity for the final 10 laps of this race to put some pressure on. And mistakes like that are definitely going to start to promote Keane to have a bit of a look.
Well, here we go. It's also a bit of a brewery rivaling in the North America course, because Canadians always want to beat US. It's almost like you guys that get versus the Scots and the Irish, isn't it? You want to have some sort of domination within your islands, of course, there. But here, it's North America and the continent. Let's see whether or not Mr. King can get it done, as one of the drivers just kindly gets out of the way and doesn't have to worry about the James's blue flag scenario that he likes to mention, as you know. Belgian driver's back in again, too, for Nicholas, so that's a second pit stop for him. That's because he had a crash, unfortunately, and I probably have to show you that. Maybe in a second, because I just want to see whether or not the old Carlson can get a good exit out of here, and he does. So here it is. I'm so used to that DRS. Once again, no DRS activated as Michael Brooks goes in. So what do you reckon about this one there, Zachy?
Well, we'll see. Defensive goes Rivera. Having a bit of a look was Keane, but he's got to be clever about it. He's got to close the gap. Look at how much he's closing through the apex. And now it's a case of who can put their foot to the floor first, who can run their way downhill in towards turn number 4. Rivera feeling the pressure, weaving left to right, trying to break the slipstream as much as possible. Keane ducking, diving, trying to find the gap. The car looking a bit out of shape. Turn number 4, no way through for the number 5 machine. And that might stay the way for quite some time. It's been a battle of attrition. And obviously the track conditions, very, very cold out there. No sunlight reaching the circuit, at least for now. Now you can see a couple of glimmers reflecting off the drivers' helmets, which will warm up the track a little bit, warm up the tyres a bit better, maybe get them to be a bit more optimal in terms of their grip. But Carson Keane, the pressure is on.
It's British weather, isn't it, here in Austria? Very unusual. Not really. Is Nicholas's crash, unfortunately, I have to show you real quick there, and that just, I thought it was about there for our Belgium driver. He's used to these weather conditions. Probably not used to the off-track excursion like that, that's for sure. So, bingo, into the fence.
And the front wing didn't really know what it wanted to do, whether it just wanted to have a bruise or
they're both boxing at the same time, too.
Both at the same time. Yeah, so Keane was like, yeah, no, there's no variation. We're not settling this in the pit lane. We're doing this on track, mate. There's no two ways about it. Look at him. He's already angled himself out of the pit lane, whereas Rivera's going to have to turn to avoid the pit lane exit. Keane knows what he's doing, and now a bit of a faster stop, I believe, going the way of Rivera. Indeed, 7 tenths, 4.85 stationary for Rivera, 5.52 for Keane. That has allowed the American to branch out of the slipstream range, not the DRS range, but the slipstream range. Has he underfueled, or did he save enough during the first stint to be able to put himself in a position to actually limit his time in the pit lane?
Well, you're going to have to go down to Ted for that one. Ted, down to you in pit road there for the report on the times themselves that they did there. So we get Ted up there. Oh, there it is. So There's your times, essentially what we're getting from Ted. Give or take on that. That's the stationary time, I believe, there, Zach.
If only we had a Ted Graphics down in the pit lane, it would make our job so much easier because he could do all the hard work for us, and then we could just say, "Oh yeah, Ted's told us this and this, and we know what we're talking about when it comes to strategy." Because trust us, we do not have a Scooby when it comes to race strategy. Mary, we can see you in the YouTube chat. This is fantastic. We've also had the Sim Racing for Simpletons YouTube channel themselves in the YouTube chat. Obviously, Phil, always got Phil in the YouTube chat. It's a pleasure to have you all here, obviously on the JP Broadcasting YouTube network, approaching 1,000 subscribers very, very quickly. It's a pleasure to have you. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications as well to not miss a single thing that comes your way. In terms of sim racing, we have everything. You can see right now, single seaters, we do some Formula 1, touring cars, radicals, endurances, NASCARs. We've done some Spec Racer 4s at some point as well. We do a variety of different things. There's always something to tickle your fancy. You'll find a home, you'll find your comfort zone here, and there will always be some quality broadcasting, some quality action on the circuit. And you know what? Maybe it might not even be your comfort zone. Maybe you might think, you know what? I'm usually a single-seater fan, but I'm going to check out some GT racing, or I'm going to check out some touring car racing. It's a great way to introduce yourself into the franchise and, well, to have a nice, easy step in. We do try our best to bring you the best in terms of both broadcasting and obviously action on circuit. So, yeah, make sure you stick around because, well, myself, Zach Sweeney, Dean Hopton in the commentary booth for this one, the Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship. Round number 1 takes to the RedBull Ring. And we're approaching on to the final stages of it. We've had a close fight for the lead, and, well, that is far from over. Also, this fight here for P6, Rude versus Sahora, and a bit of a wide line from Rude. Sees him, a poor exit, and sees Sahora up into 6th.
Sees that any day of the week, so thank you very much. Lick the stamp and send it, as Daniel Ricciardo would say. Well, if you're licking the stamp and sending Mr. James into, well, we'll go back on that one in a second, because it could be another opportunity here to come back on that one there from Ian. We should find out. But Ian, well, mate, if you get to 1K subscribers, you may be able to enjoy one of those promised James's food cast streams. You know how much James loves his food, right? You know that, Zach?
100%.
Well,
yeah,
apparently, on the 22nd of May, he's heading to Spain. So,
he is?
Yeah, and if we can get to 1K subscribers before he gets on that plane, then he has to give us some tapas, foodcast or whatever. I'm not quite sure. It's up to James.
Commentate him munching into his Spanish food.
Yes.
And he goes for it. He takes a bite. He's bitten off more he can chew. I don't know.
Yeah, you're going to be casting him for that one. Exactly.
Yeah,
Fantastic. It'd be good. His missus is not the happiest of camper because, you know, it's supposed to be get away from the screen there, James. Get away from all those buttons you press and you're broadcasting. But, however, it's been promised. And, well, goals have to be achieved, don't they? And I'll tell you what, James definitely has achieved those goals. He's quit his day job to do this, so why not? Why not? Let's support him all the way.
Absolutely. Give him all the views that we can. Obviously, I was having a conversation with him before we went live for some touring cars, I believe. And he literally told me his wife has said you can have your phone for an hour in the morning and like half an hour at night. And then it's being in a safe for the rest of the day. You are not looking at it. You're not thinking about work at all. The Pepsi liveried car of Zahora goes a little bit wide through turn 3, but the sweeping nature allows them to get the drive off the corner. But yeah, James is basically being put on the phone confiscation for the duration of their Spanish holiday, which I don't blame him. He's a very busy man. He does countless hours of work, and obviously his wife is like, yeah, no, our turn now. We get your attention. This is our time. No work. You can forget about that.
I'm now thinking,
he deserves it.
Yeah, he does. It's PepsiCo, my friend, as you can see at the back there of Zarro. You know, it's up to you there. You can get those names correctly. I'm the biggest butcher of those names. But yes, maybe we have to see if James can practice some of his Latin dancing there in Spain. Tango?
Oh,
and all that? We're stretching on that one now, aren't we? And unfortunately, Kyle is stretching the track limits. And let's have a look what happened to Kyle Matheson. But lowly down the 181 machine there, running in P13. What are you predictions before this is going to happen?
Lock on the rears, and actually no, it's on exit. He's going to spin on exit. Wow, okay.
No, you are like you said it first. Lock on the rears.
He locked the fronts though. Otherwise, he wouldn't have. Because obviously the fronts do the turning. So if they're the ones that are locked, you're not going to turn. Whereas the rears, if they lock, the rear end's going to spin round.
Good catch. I didn't even realize that was the front lock. So I would have guessed the rear. But,
Well, he went straight, didn't he? So he didn't have any turn. So the front tyres weren't actually turning. The rear still were, which is why he continued on going. But not great for his tyres, considering they've had to do the entire distance up to now. Lap 29 of 33, of course, and the lead fight comes down to 1.5 seconds between Alexander Rivera and Carson Keane. 124.7 on the previous lap, 124.6 goes the way of Carson Keane, so chopping and changing, and, well, these two evenly matched, and as we said earlier, it's both a good thing and a bad thing. Bit of lap traffic, though, to contend with if they don't move out the way, if they don't follow James's very strong beliefs on what blue flags are, then we might have some trouble, but I think he's going to be okay. Otherwise, I would hate to be the. Is that job done potentially, or is that?
What are your views there, Zach, on the
I'll be honest.
blue flag scenario?
I'll be honest, right? So, blue flags for me in endurance racing, so multi-class racing, I think the slower class do exactly what they're doing. Take the racing line, don't slow down, don't move out of the way, just be predictable, right? The faster class, it's their responsibility to move around you. In that regard. So you don't want to see GT cars moving off the racing line, darting across the track and slowing down, because that's a hazard. That is very, very dangerous. When it comes to single class racing like we're seeing here, blue flags are a little bit different. I think that they should be waved and the driver should be aware of them, but I don't necessarily think they should completely back off the throttle to let them through. It's a nice touch to sort of not be in the way whatsoever. But at the end of the day, you just have to be predictable. Let the cars behind know exactly what you're doing, and try to minimize the time lost for all the parties involved. It is a very tricky situation, as very nicely moving out the way de Kiko, which is obviously very nice, and very sportsmanlike, very gentlemanlike. But in terms of blue flags, personally, they're sort of advisories, they're warnings, they're not necessarily move now, as some people sort of coin them as. I don't know, maybe that's where me and James sort of disagree, because he's very intent on the fact that blue flag, move, slow down, not your race, get out of the way, which it's not really my cup of tea. However, what could be the cup of tea is for Carson Keane to sniff victory, also for Michael Brooks to be on the back of Daniel Wheatfield as well in that fight for fourth. Closing the gap is the 83 American. Which way is he going to go? No way through into turn number 3. He's been on a fight back all the way throughout this race. Had to take an extra stop as well, I believe, which is obviously suboptimal for him, but he's continuing on in this race and, well, looking for more.
Can you repeat the question, please? You did this fantastically, exactly, about the blue flags and, of course, in the racing. Great action as we're getting out to the dying stages at the moment, so don't worry about it. It's not the Formula 1 that you're watching, it's Formula 3. You don't have to have a little bit of a lay down during a 100% race. This is going to be exciting, and this is just the first race of the season. Remember, we're going to have so much more, and some of the great classic tracks around the world you're going to find, and great classic driving you're seeing currently at the moment there for the battle for P4. Michael, on the wrong stuff, maybe on the right stuff, if you get past Daniel.
Absolutely. And the fight rages on. The fight for the lead also very, very close. So we've got to sort of duck our attention up and down the field. Talking a little bit at the calendar, though. Obviously, we're here for round number 1 at the Rubber Ring. In a week's time, April 29th, we take to Donington Park, Road Atlanta for round 3. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We get a 3 run in the across the Atlantic, Road Atlanta, Gilles Villeneuve in Canada, Circuit of the Americas for round number 5. Then we go to Zandvoort, Laguna Seca, and Silverstone to round off the season. So 8 very, very good circuits, very, very good venues, and what is hopefully going to be a very tightly contested championship. Back into the pit lane comes Zahora for whatever reason. Maybe for a drive-through is going to be my guess. But yeah, very good season ahead of us, and already we've got the good telling signs of some very competitive natures amongst the entire grid of drivers that we've got here today.
No Bathurst, but a little disappointed that one.
You would be, though.
Of course I would be.
I'm just happy we've got Donington and Silverstone. So
yeah, of course, you're going to get those classic British tracks.
25% of the season is in the UK, all right?
Yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah. Well, you are, as I said earlier in the show, birthplace of motorsport, the UK.
Let's do it best.
It's not the birthplace of for example, and Zach, you weren't around the day, and neither was I. That's the birthplace of NASCAR. What came down to the old Bugsy Malone, mate, the old smuggling the booze to try to outrun the cops. Remember, that's how that motorsport started. Beef up your car, and not allow the coppers, essentially the police, to catch up to you, because you obviously didn't have those cameras and the helicopters following you around and all that jazz. But anyway, we'll go back to Brooksy. See if we can take it up to turn 1.
What's he got in store? into turn number 1, of course, for the American. He's been hot on the heels of Daniel Weifeld, and a little bit wide from the 64 machine hampers his run. Darting to the right-hand side goes Michael Brooks. He's got the measure. He might have the advantage now. A drag race up the hill in towards turn number 3. Very, very close. The fight for 4th rages on. The 83, I should say, goes to the inside, uphill braking zone. The 64 tries to get the up and under. It's going to be the outside line. It's going to be the sweeping line. It's going to be the better run off the exit of the 3rd corner. Now the run downhill in the slipstream for the Englishman. Has he got the counter-attack? It's the battle. America versus the UK. Now, outside line for Weifeld. It's the long way around. He's braver on the brakes. He's more committed on the brakes. He's bold. He's brave. He's brilliant. Bit squirmy as they run their way through. Now, it's the case of Brooks has got the inside line. It's the shorter way through. Has he got the advantage going into the next sweeping left-hander? Daniel Weifeld sends the move so close to contact. Great mutual respect between the pair of them. And now, the advantage swings the way of Daniel Weifeld, who retains in 4th place after a very, very hotly contested fight as Rune is into the pit lane.
Rune's
Yes,
in
it's
the
a
pit
fight for the
road. So it is a fight for the podium. You go ahead there, please.
Yeah, between the pair of them, I was done. Dusted there, right there. Rune into the pit lane. So Weifeld and Brooks, the stakes have now skyrocketed into this is for something quite important.
Oh, just like that. Why? Why would you be doing that? Barney's waving that flag. We're not quite sure. So Carlson's about a second change down the road, but this is the battle, obviously, very, very crucial. Let's see how this is going to pan out at the moment. Turn 1. Keen's now putting the pressure down too, my friend.
Yeah, they've only got half a lap left to go, though, of course. And we hyped it up a little bit. Rune only had a drive-through, so he wasn't actually going to spend the full 20 seconds in the pit lane, which is what we expected. So this is not a fight for the podium. We hyped up a little bit too much. But last lap fight, Rivera, what can Keen do? The final 0.3 of a lap, final quarter of a lap now for Rivera. He's rounding into the final couple of corners. But the fight for 4th is continuing on. Is Brooks got any answer for what Weifeld has been able to put up against him? 33 laps of intense racing action between all of our contingents. Alexander Rivera will cross the line. He's going to see the checkered flag first for the first ever time. The Sim Racing for Simpletons Formula 3 Championship. Alexander Rivera from pole to flag, victorious in the Styrian Mountains. Carson Keen, I should say, comes home second with Mackenzie Rune. This man right here completing the podium, 20 seconds back. It's been a race of attrition. The off-tracks, the penalty points, the drive-thrus have really tested these cars' patience. And, well, Rivera and Keen, beautiful fight. Weifeld and Brooks, though, comes down to the final sector. It is going to go the way of the Englishman, sideways through the final corner. Brooks was giving it absolutely everything, and unfortunately, it just wasn't quite enough.
No, but it was close. Absolutely. And then Jacob, up to take a couple of pit stops. The Pepsi machine, the number 21, should be able to just go around a couple of corners at the moment and see the old Barney waving the flag there. Ian is actually a little bit up the road there, so there's Ian en route for the wrong stuff. Can he get hooked up there? Remember, there's only, what, give or take 11 to 10 turns, depending on what format you want to see it. But final turn for him. So Canada 2, Canada and 6. And then Jacob should be rounding out the finale of the checkered flags this evening here for the first round of the Formula 3 SR4S Championship. There it is. But there it is. Alexander, of course, has done it and dusted it. Results up on the screen for you to go through, please, there.
Absolutely. So 33 laps of racing action. Alexander Rivera takes victory in the 222 machine. Michael Brooks and Mackenzie Rune, your podium. Carson Keen, Shane Larson, the top 5. Then comes Daniel Weifeld and Nicholas Curto. Modelise Kiko, P8, with Lucas Finco and Dominic Angelico in P10. Jacob Sahora, Ian Rude behind that. Seth MacFarlane, Joel Dutton and Kyle Matheson, the 15 runners of today. We did say Brian Long was in here. However, unfortunately, he was just doing admin duties and spectating and blah, 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 blah. Wasn't actually taking to the track. And, well, 15 cars, 15 finishes, and a whole heap of action all the way through. What we are going to do, though, is take a quick chat with a couple of our drivers. We've got Alex Rivera in the interview waiting room, waiting for a bit of a chat. Alex, well, talk us through that. Pole to flag. Good race, obviously, for you, but I guess it wasn't, all done and dusted. You did have some pressure throughout.
Yeah, no, I mean, first and foremost, massive job to Carson. I thought I was just managing it halfway through, and at the end, he piled tons of pressure. He really picked up the pace right there at the end, and man, he did not make it easy whatsoever, but definitely not a straightforward race. I'm actually surprised I was doing as well as I did. I just got home, so only had an hour to practice, but seems like managed to pull it off.
That's all you needed. An hour, it was enough. So obviously very well done. Great start to the season. And talking about the season, actually, in all fairness, looking forward for the 7 weeks that we've now got left, what tracks, particularly tickle your fancy? What are you looking forward to most?
To be honest, I haven't looked much at the schedule. I signed up. I signed up last weekend, right before the test race, and then I've been on a business trip basically since the test race. So haven't had a ton of time to look at the schedule, but I love this F3 car.
Do you want me to read it out? So obviously with RedBull Ring, we've got Donington Park in a week, Road Atlanta, the Gilles Villeneuve, Kota, Zandvoort, Laguna Seca, and Silverstone for your 8-week championship. Are you any of them shoot to mind?
Oh, I've had really good races at Kota. I love Kota. Zandvoort, I've never raced, but I feel like this car would be amazing at.
Fair enough. Well, best of luck for the rest of the season, and hopefully we'll see you back in the interview room in a week's time.
Absolutely, I'm certainly hoping so. And thank you to you guys. Brilliant broadcast.
Thank you very much. See you soon, Alex. Take care. Alexander Rivera, of course, first place throughout the race. We'll take a quick chat with Mackenzie Roon. He obviously was able to take third place in today's race. Mackenzie, it was a pretty good race for you. A drive-through late on, was it? Was the track particularly difficult? Was the off-tracks there and they added up quite quickly? It seemed to be quite a race of attrition out there.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I didn't know about the 5X drive-through. I think I would have been a little more careful. But, all things considered, 33 laps with only a 5X, I consider that a win when you're on the limit most of the race. But yeah, it hit me unexpectedly second to last lap. Luckily, I had enough gap behind me to not lose a spot. So worked out pretty well for me.
Absolutely. Great start to the season, of course, in P3. The top two of Rivera and Keane were quite far away. Is that obviously thanks to the fact that, you had the drive-through? Do you reckon you could have contended all things went well?
I was pretty much on my limit the entire race, and I was looking at the relative, and I could not break 4 seconds. So I don't think I could have caught them. Those guys were really, really fast. The main thing I was trying to do was keep my car in position where if they made a mistake or they battled, I could take advantage, but it just didn't happen.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck for the rest of the season, of course. Before we let you go, is there anyone you give a quick shout out to in the YouTube chat? Any friends or family watching along?
Not at the moment, but hopefully next event I'll get someone on. But yeah, thanks for the stream.
Absolutely. Well, take care, Mackenzie. It's great to see you, and nice to meet you. Obviously, we're new here, so see you in a week's time. Mackenzie Roon, obviously third place in the race. We'll take a quick look then. We've only got a couple more people. I think we've got Lucas Finco in the interview rating room as well. So, Lucas, a bit of a tough race for you, I think. You got caught up in a couple of skirmishes over the duration of the race. Was it a tricky one in particular today?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it takes consistency to win the race, and I just didn't have it in me today. So I had that drive-through penalty right at the beginning, and then, had a bit of an off track, so slowed me down, but it was still a good race. Got a nice fight in for 5th.
Fair enough. I mean, again, as long as you had fun. Obviously, today was a bit of a blunder. Fortunately, you have got that drop week to fall back on, but maybe the RedBull Ring not quite your taste. Is there any more throughout the rest of the season? Have you been able to take a look at the calendar? Which one really strikes out to you?
Really, the next race, Donington, I think I'm going to have a good chance there. It's nice, flowy, smooth track. The GP course adds a little bit of complexity, so I'm hoping for a good result there.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck for the rest of the season. Before we let you go, anyone in the YouTube chat you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, my wife's watching, so shout out to her. Shout out to Miles. I appreciate you guys coming in and supporting me. Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, take care, Lucas, and we'll see you soon. Well, final interview. We've got Maud Elise Kiko. Hello, welcome in. And again, similar to quite a few people, in all fairness, it was a fairly difficult affair here at the RedBull Ring, and it's quite a simple circuit, so you wouldn't really look at it like that at face value. But the on-track action definitely showed to be quite difficult.
Yeah, it was. The practice times it was really good because we were all very, very close together. But unfortunately for me, lap 5, I was in a bit of traffic, and unfortunately, everything braked a bit too soon for my brain ahead of me, so I had to lock up to avoid taking 2 people out. So I took myself out instead, and I just played catch up for the rest of the race. Did all right, and given that I had to go in the pits twice, so
can't complain. again, P9 at the end, obviously. So again, not too bad. Could have been better though. Again, as I've asked a number of others, looking at the rest of the championship, are there any particular rounds that strike out to you as ones that you want to do well in?
You know, a lot of I'm kind of new to the F3. So for me, it's been a case of I need to just finish the season out, get through it as much as I can. You know, it's I think as far as looking forward to it, I think Road Atlanta and Zandvoort are the big ones for me to look forward to. But I love them all except Donington, which is next week.
Oh no. All right. Okay. Yeah, we're off to a bad start here. No, I'll be honest. No, I like Donington. I like the rest of the season, in all fairness. But obviously, best of luck for you for the rest of the season. Before we let you go, is there anyone that you want to give a quick shout out to in the YouTube chat?
No, I wasn't. I didn't come prepared to give shout outs. You're all brilliant. I love you all.
Fantastic. There we go. Feel very warm, despite the fact you don't like Donington. So that cancels it out a little bit. But yeah, very nice talking to you. Very nice to meet you, obviously, being new to the Sim Racing for Simpletons. But yeah, obviously, take care and we'll see you in a week's time.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you very much. P9 in the race for Modelise Kiko at the end of that one. Obviously, we didn't quite manage to get you the race results. These are the qualifying results. In terms of the race results, it was Rivera, Keen, Rune, your podium. Wheefield and Brooks, your top 5. Rude, Zahora, Angelico, Kiko, Dutton, Finko, Matheson, McFarlane, Curto, and Larson. Here we go. Beautiful. There they are. So it wasn't quite a full grid of finishes, Dean, but overall, a good way to start the season, I think.
I unmute myself. Absolutely fantastic, of course. Yeah, apologize for that little hiccup, but that's what dress rehearsals are done for, and it's absolutely brilliant. The Red Bull Ring always produces the sound of music of these beautiful V3 machines, not V8s, I'm thinking of supercars. Yes, making their way around. Overtaking opportunities, tooth and nail. Spinnaroos, yes, tooth and nail. But Alexander Rivera has done and dusted everybody for the 222 machine and says, well, there it is. Spielberg's mine.
Absolutely.
Oscar nominee right now. But perhaps one finger closer to the championship. We shall see, won't we?
We're only one round in. We're only 12.5% through the season as a whole. So let's not jump the ship too much, but definitely good signs. I think there is going to be a lot of competition. You know, it's going to be a very varied field, I think. In a week's time, though, to Donington, what do you make of that one? What sort of action maybe are we expecting in a week's time?
British tracks. Yeah, actually, I like it. I do like it, but yeah. Well, what can I say? Mate, it's your neck of the woods. It's your neck.
It is. Personally, mine's more Snetterton, which I would have preferred, but Donington will do, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, absolutely. Talking of next week, Donington Park, April 29th, of course, 2 p.m. EST is the practice. We will be getting underway in the broadcast, 3 p.m. Eastern time. That is 8 o'clock in the UK. Translate that to wherever you are around the world. My name has been Zach Sweeney. Dean Hoptham, aka Biggles, has been alongside me in the commentary booth. He's also been behind the scenes, pushing all the buttons and making this very pretty presentation for you all to watch at home. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's nice to meet you all in the Sim Racing for Simpletons. The JP Broadcasting Network very much is looking forward to producing the rest of this season. But from myself, Zach, Dean, alongside me, as I say, it's a very, very warm take care and goodbye.